Hello there, sorry from 17 once again. This is my Legend of Korra extreme difficulty video walkthrough. This is chapter 4, it's called Counterattack, and this is part 1 of 2. So we're moving through this pretty foggy looking street where, if you've read any of the reviews and they've mentioned that the graphics look a little bit like a PS2 game, these are the areas that definitely showcase those sentiments. And as much as I don't believe graphics make a game, it is hard to fight against that accusation. It is very valid that the visuals of the game are nothing special, but at the same time, you know, I still really like a lot of PS2 games, so the visuals on this, it's cel shading, it's got some charm. I really don't find them too bad or distracting. In fact, I kind of like them. It's not because I have any kind of affiliation with Platinum or any kind of love for Legend of Korra. I just think that the game has an interesting style that I just don't mind so much. You know, I don't think it's offensive at all. I don't think it's worth berating as much as it has been. Sure, could it be better? Hell yes. Could it be better easily? Probably. You know, there's not really much here, but what is here is more the sign of a lack of development time, really. Like, they don't have you doing too much in these environments. But then again, on Bayonetta 2, they don't have you doing that much in the environments. They just look considerably better. And I'm very curious as to why this game turned out the way it did. Because I think it's a very interesting thing. Like, I was looking forward to it because Platinum were making it, and I've really enjoyed what I've played, as I keep mentioning. Here come the bike guys, counter the bike guys, do the crazy God Hand beat down, and then focus on the guys on the balconies by doing the counter into stun, into execute if you can. Just be aware, ooh, those guys are actually firing electricity, so you won't be able to do that. So be very careful here, folks, or you can take big damage really quickly. But I'm currently recording a Bayonetta 2 guide, and I can't wait to get back to play this game. And Bayonetta is a lot better than this game. You know, you could call it 10 times what this game is, but at the same time, there are parts of this that I really, really enjoyed, and that's why I can't understand why the reviews were so overly harsh on a game that perhaps wouldn't have suffered so badly if it had not been compared in such a way. Like, I've seen a lot of really valid arguments against why the game isn't good, and most of them have some great points, but they always seem to trip themselves up in a few places, which I just don't agree with. And obviously a lot of opinion and reviews are very subjective, so we'll all have something different. But you have to bear in mind here, folks, Avatar: The Burning Earth, which is that game for the 360, where you turn it on, 10 minutes later you have 1000G by bashing one button that you bash for the entire game, which has got really dull and boring combat, got a better score than this. And I can't really speak about that game because I only played the first level, got the achievements, and I turned it off because it was just... there was nothing to it. It was babies. It was like Streets of Rage, but not good. Because Streets of Rage is actually a brilliant game for its time. And I just didn't understand it at all. I thought it was pretty damn poor. And that got a higher review than this did, when the combat on this is incredibly fun and as deep as you want it to be. Like, you can dismiss it as being clunky and, you know, and shallow, but that's more a reflection on your ability to use it than it is the combat itself, because the combat has a lot of depth if you want to find it. A lot of depth I didn't really show just then, because I cannot combo to save my life on those doors. They're only one... Of course, they're only one element that you can use on them, and my element isn't leveled up enough to really do anything too fancy at this point, which is a valid criticism of the game. The abilities, the way that they're meted out to you, is far too slow. You spend a lot of the game not really having much to play with, and then at the end of the game you get everything to play with, and a majority of players are going to stop playing. So it's a poor choice in design ethos, but it's a narrative conceit, so it's very difficult to blame the gameplay for it when the fucking story's founded on that notion of, is it the Equalists stealing Korra's bending abilities? You know? If only there was some other way to become a massive bender. She might have been able to have all those abilities earlier on, but this is an anime game, I guess. But here are the guys throwing things. Red guys are going to throw electricity. Blue guys are going to throw chains. You want to make sure you don't get hit by the electricity, and you want to counter the chains. It's pretty simple stuff. And then I want to call them alchemists, I don't know why, and then the benders come. So we've got fire bending, water bending, and earth bending. One hit took, what was that, 75% of my life, but I managed to counter him, and the counter kills both of them. So now there's a bunch of lackeys left. I leveled up so it healed me, and then there's only the earth guy, who I'm going to try and chain into one of the counters if I can. Ideally, as he kicks me with his giant meaty foot, I would like to bounce that back into him and kill him with that, but I don't think it works that way. So instead, I clear out the dudes and then I focus on him, who is very dangerous. And the taunt on this game is, I've already mentioned it's not very good. I wish it was better, because it makes them counter you more. So when I kill the green dude, I might be able to taunt him, attack him, and immediately get a counter and kill him. But it doesn't seem to work that way. So instead, I'm going to use moves that have stuns on them. And the best way to stun this guy is to pull him towards you. Pull him towards you or bounce him with that. As soon as you get the execution prompt, try and do it. I was too busy trying to do the perfect releases on the water attacks to land anything. But there's level 7 on my water powers. And there's another fight. So if you're low on life, feel free to break some bins or some boxes and get some back. And then push forward into the next fight, which is a very simple reflect into execution. Of course, be careful of the red guys. If they charge the electricity, sometimes they get armor when they do it, so it's difficult to interrupt. And then we have a little bit of mild platforming. So this game has actually made me interested to check the show out, and I think I'm going to, because everybody says it's pretty damn decent for a cartoon that wasn't done in Japan. And there have been some really good animations come out of places other than Japan. It's just recently we kind of moved more towards the human bullshit, like especially Nickelodeon, man. How many shows on Nickelodeon have got people in them? You know, those super Americanized, generically smiling Hollywood plastic bullshit children's school shows where everyone's beautiful and it's all redundant stereotypes of tropes that happen during school, and it's all romanticized in such a way that the boys always get the girls always get the boys, and there's always a fucking dance party and a happy ending. Like, I'm just not interested in that nonsense. And like, I think the only one I even remotely enjoyed when I was younger was Saved by the Bell, and that was saying something, because even that was tedious at times. And then there was things like Keenan and Kel, and then it just went overboard with Sabrina the Teenage Witch and Sister Sister and all sorts of other weird shit. And I was one of those kids who, I've always liked cartoons. I still like cartoons to this day. You know, I think it's better than most TV, a lot of it. And I think the fact that the distinction between them is one is looked at as a children's thing and the other one is looked at something respected, and I think it's offensive, and there's a lot of people that hold that opinion, which I personally hate. But I was always a guy who preferred cartoons to the real life stuff. I didn't want to watch humans do shit. If I was going to watch humans do shit, I would have watched the stuff I liked, like Aliens and Die Hard and Arnie films. You know, I'm not going to watch fucking Keenan and Kel flip burgers and say witty anecdotes that don't really mean anything to me, because unfortunately I don't live in America and I don't really understand some of the, you know, the dialects and the jokes that don't really translate too well. But it's okay, because even if I don't understand them, there's a laugh track to remind me what I should be doing, which is of course laughing at every fucking syllable, which is something I'm not willing to do, and even at a young age I saw through it because it's bullshit and it's boorish and I don't like it. But, you know, I'd rather watch Ghostbusters and Turtles and He-Man and cool shit. But pushing forward again, we're coming up against more electricity guys with some platforming here. If you fall off on the platforms, you will take damage. Funny I should say that, because in Bayonetta 2 you don't, which I think is a really good improvement. Because on the first game, falling off was a legitimate thing that happened a lot, and they took life away from you every single time. And I've always found it to be an interesting punishment, and it's a punishment for those people who want perfection, really. Because falling off is either a depth perception issue, or a lack of knowing when to press the button, or just an ignorance towards level design. And it happens. Sometimes it happens because we're just not perfect. We're not machines. So to get penalised for it can sometimes feel a little bit harsh. this is a game that will punish you for it, so it's in your best interest to be careful. See that just then? That's how much it takes away from you. That's the reason I was talking about it. So the platforming here is perfectly fine, I have no issue with it, but if I ever take my thumb off the analog to make Korra stop, she doesn't stop, and on platforms that are that thin, she runs me off the edge a lot. And that's one of those issues that I can fix, I'm just choosing not to. And I actually had to alternate between controllers recording this walkthrough, because my Battlefield controller kept guarding on itself, and I don't know why. And it was a little bit, you know, like two necessary evils. On the one side, I had the analog straying, making me run off edges and cancel my guard animation, and then on the good pad, it was guarding when I didn't want it to, and it was causing me grief. So, in the end, I fought the controls a little bit, but I made it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. And I love that animation as we get a platinum, which is quite nice. I do like the platinums on this game. I will probably be trying to get a best rank through the entire game. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I look forward to trying. And then here is the giant robot boss. So the first time you fight this guy, this is probably quite intimidating. But if you've been playing on extreme mode, you've already fought this dude a lot, so you should know exactly what's expected of you now. And what is expected of you is to dodge the electricity and then parry anything else. If done correctly, you'll kill this thing much quicker than you could before. But did you see how little damage it does to him? The one thing I really liked about Metal Gear Rising was it was a game that was heavily devised around a counter system. And on the hardest difficulty, it rewarded you with counters. I don't know if, because you have to do this little conceit here to get your earth powers back, that this guy's life is higher for some reason. I don't know if it's just because he's a boss. In all honesty, I've only played this game twice, and it's very brief, so my technical knowledge of the systems, I need to play it more, and I'm incredibly busy right now with life and projects for YouTube, so that playing this game is not something I can really afford at the moment, because I've already recorded the walkthrough. So I'm not entirely sure what this moment's about, but it's really good practice for parrying, and it's really good practice for seeing the animations that you can parry and the ones you can't. That right there was kind of suspicious. I didn't think I was stood anywhere near close enough to it, and it still hit me. That was a mistake, but I didn't have to, you know, get punished too much from it. And here is the earth powers. So the earth power is more for short range, it's more for groups of enemies, and it's one of the most damaging elements you have. I don't know if countering with the earth element is the most powerful counter you can do. I'm not too sure. There are a couple of experiments I want to do with this game where if you charge a full 3 bars worth of chi and then do a counter to cancel it and get maximum chi on your counter, I want to know if it does more damage. Because if it does, you might be able to make yourself even more powerful than you are, which could be really cool. But the hit meter on this game is interesting too, because you'll notice there's the current hit meter that you're doing, and then there's kind of like a sub meter below it. I don't know what the sub meter does. I don't know if that's a representation of the spirit energy you'll get for finishing your combo. I don't know if it's your overall combo, and this is kind of like a parent combo meter. I'm not too sure what it is, but it goes up really high, and anything that goes up high generally makes you feel pretty good about what you're doing, which is really positive player feedback. But that is the end of this dude. He's going to blow up. We're going to level up once again. That one step closer to maxing out our water abilities. And all we have to do now is wait for the barrier to go down so we can proceed. So my girlfriend has pretty much said to me for Christmas that she'll go half on an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 with me. Which is really nice of her. She didn't need to say that. And I'm really tempted to take her up on the offer. But at the same time, I'm still conflicted about next gen. I truly am, as we fight these green dudes. Wait for the duck and weave and then counter the next hit. Be very careful though, because they do big damage, these enemies. And I'm conflicted for a few reasons. I really want an Xbox One because I think Sunset Overdrive looks good, and it comes out very soon, and I really think Lords of Shadow looks good. So I would get that on the Xbox One for achievement reasons. And it's my probably my preferred console because of achievements, which I know to some people is kind of pointless. It's like an empty platitude, something that should be vestigial and left behind, but I still like achievements. I like the Microsoft branding, and I didn't used to. I think the original Xbox is a piece of shit. I think it's one of the worst consoles ever, personally. I know people love it. I didn't. I thought it was trash. Bad pad, bad games, not my thing. A lot of people think I'm a Microsoft fanboy, which is not true at all, considering that I had Nintendo for most of my life and then I went to Sony, and this is literally the first Microsoft product I've owned outside of PCs, but you'll always get that on the internet when you share opinions. So I'm going to continue this tangent in the next video, guys, but that's the end of part 1. Thank you for watching, I hope the guide is helping, and you take care now.